KTU Cares, a salute to local heroes.
What kind of world do you want? Think anything. History starts now.
On KTU Cares, good morning. How's it going? Bartell in the KTU studios, always bringing great people into the studio to talk about what they do in their daily lives and how they're helping out our community here in New York City. Today is no exception. Great guest in this morning, Christina Madera. She is outreach coordinator for PSS Circle of Care. Good morning, Christina.
Good morning, Bartell.
It is so great to have you here. Christina, please tell us about PSS Circle of Care first, and then I'm going to ask you what you do as outreach coordinator for PSS Circle of Care.
Well, PSS Circle of Care is a non-for-profit that helps family caregivers caring for a loved one with Alzheimer's or any form of dementia. And we provide services to those family caregivers such as educational training. We offer wellness programs like meditation, Tai Chi. We also offer respite, which is when we will pay to put a home attendant in the home to give the caregiver a break. So essentially what we try to do is to help the caregiver so they don't burn out. They're not stressed out and they don't feel like they're doing it all alone.
And Christina, is this program available for your organization to anybody listening in KTU world right now this morning, if they're intrigued by the whole idea of PSS Circle of Care?
Yes, so the only requirements are that one of the two, either the caregiver, which is the family member, the daughter, the son, or the spouse, and one, either the caregiver or the care receiver, live in New York City, so that's any of the 5 boroughs, and that one of the two have some sort of memory-related, whether that be dementia or Alzheimer's, and that's it. We don't ask anything else. We don't ask about financial status or immigration status. Just as long as you're seeking help, we're here to help them.
I love it. It's great. And today, one of the main reasons you're here is to talk about the new New York State paid family leave. And we are going to get into that in just a little bit, but I want to know a little bit more about you and what you do as this great title of outreach coordinator for PSS Circle of Care. What are your daily duties and what are the things that fall underneath your job description?
Well, I like to tell people that I do all the fun stuff. Like I get to be on the show today and tell people what PSS is, and I get to attend events, health fairs, presentations to hospitals, word of mouth. I go out in the community, and sometimes I'm at a barbershop or maybe I'm at a church, and just spreading awareness of what PSS is, because a lot of people don't know about us. They don't know that this service is available, and when they find out about it, they think that it just can't be true. So it's my job to just basically put it in, embed it in their brain that this is real and that we're here to help them and everything is free. So I'm here to just spread the word and let you guys know that this is a free service to all caregivers in New York City.
And Christina, I know that you have ways for people to get more information and to stay in touch with you at PSS Circle of Care. So why don't you give those for us here at KTU? Phone numbers, maybe a website, social media handles, things like that.
Yes, so we have a toll-free hotline, and at our toll-free hotline, we have an intake specialist who is there 24/7. The phone number is 866-665-1713. That's 866-665-1713. And then we also have our website, which is pssusa.org. And you can email us at careinfo, that's CAREINFO at pssusa.org.
Christina Madera is here. She is outreach coordinator for PSS Circle of Care. And as we said on KTU Cares, and what a great name you have. The show is called KTU Cares, and it's PSS Circle of Care that you work for, Christina. And it's certainly a passion that you got to have to do what you do. And one of the main reasons we're here is because it's also the new year. We're into our second month of the year. 2018 is here, and we have the New York State paid family leave now that's brand new for this year. Tell us a little bit about what that is.
So the New York State paid family leave is a law that was passed just on the 1st of January of this year. And it's intended to help New York State residents caring for a newborn or a close relative with a serious health condition, including Alzheimer's disease.
And who is considered a close relative?
Close family relatives include either a spouse, a domestic partner, child, a stepchild, a parent, a step-parent, a parent-in-law, or a grandparent. So that means that it has to be someone in your immediate family. It doesn't extend to a close cousin or an aunt. It has to be in your immediate family.
And a grandchild also, I believe, too, correct?
Yes, a grandchild or even a grandparent.
Great. Talk about the benefits that surround the New York State paid family leave.
So the benefits are that one would get 8 weeks of paid time off and paid leave. And essentially, you would get 50% of your average weekly wage.
Okay.
But that's just for 2018. Every year, it's set to increase until the year of 2021, where the employees will be eligible for 12 weeks of paid leave at 67% of their average weekly income. So right now, it's at 50%, which is a lot better than what some people were having before. But by 2021, if we're lucky enough, we'll have 67% of your average weekly wage.
Excellent. On KTU Cares this morning, Christina Madera is here. She's outreach coordinator for PSS Circle of Care. Christina, if you wouldn't mind talking to us about who is eligible for this New York State paid family leave.
So those eligible are full-time employees that are working 20 hours or more per week and have been employed for at least 6 months. Some part-time employees may also be eligible if they work less than 20 hours a week and have also been working for about 6 months. The only difference is that the part-time employees, their 6 months don't have to be consecutive. For instance, you could be a college student, and if you work 1 month and then you take a break and then you work again, as long as the total adds up to 6 months of you working.
Christina, again, information about PSS Circle of Care, if you wouldn't mind giving us a phone number, website, and social media.
Yes, so PSS Circle of Care's free caregiver support services. We have our hotline number, which is 866-665-1713. And we also have our email address, which is careinfo@pssusa.org. And you can feel free to call us or email us with any additional questions that you may have about PSS Circle of Care.
Talk about those of us that are not U.S. citizens. Are they eligible for the New York State paid family leave also?
Yes. You don't need to be there's no eligibility.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not an immigrant or if you are, it doesn't really matter. There's no eligibility criteria when it comes to immigration status. Anyone is if you're working and you need the time off because you're caring for another person, whether that be a newborn or an ill family member, then you're eligible for the New York State family paid leave.
If you could, give us an idea of who pays for the paid family leave.
This is funded by the employees through payroll contributions. The annual maximum is capped at $85.56, and some people will pay less if they make less than New York State's average weekly wage. There's actually a weekly deduction calculator on the newyork.gov/paid family leave website that will let you know exactly how much your payroll deduction would be if you are added into the payroll contributions.
On KTU Cares this morning, Christina Madera is here. She is outreach coordinator for PSS Circle of Care. Again, if you wouldn't mind ways to give us some website information as well as phone numbers for PSS Circle of Care.
Yes, our hotline for PSS Circle of Care is 866-665-1713, and our website is pssusa.org.
Now, Christina, how does PSS Circle of Care fit in with the new family paid leave law?
Well, PSS Circle of Care is an additional service for caregivers. As a nonprofit, all of our services are free. We provide confidential support to caregivers caring for a loved one with Alzheimer's or dementia. And we offer emotional and financial support to the caregiver to avoid caregiver burnout. And I think that pretty much sums up why we are working with those that are interested in the New York State paid family leave, because it's common for caregivers to be stressed out, and oftentimes they'll even lose their job because in the past they've had to take so many days off. And if they don't have employers that are understanding or even know how to cope with something like this, it just gets extremely difficult for the caregiver. So we're there as an extra support for them, so they know that someone is caring for them while they're caring for their loved one, and that they're not doing it alone. that there is this free service that's available to them that will help them and guide them in any way possible, shape, or form that we can.
Very well said, Christina. We are going to go back and talk about some of the specifics with the New York State paid family leave, which is brand new for all of us in 2018. But I want to spend a little bit more time on PSS Circle of Care before going back and maybe asking you some of the same questions as we did before, so we can go in a little bit more with the New York State paid family leave. But when it pertains to PSS Circle of Care, let's stay on that for right now and talk about the eligibility for PSS Circle of Care. Who's eligible?
Well, anyone that is caring for a loved one and lives in New York City. Those are really our only two requirements. We're lucky enough to have funding through the New York State Department of Health and the New York City Department for the Aging. So in all the 5 boroughs, that's the only requirement, which is that one person have some sort of memory impairment and that they live in New York City. Well, if they live in the Bronx or the Upper Manhattan area, they don't have to have any sort of memory loss. They can just be caring for a loved one with any chronic illness. So that's a little bit where it gets kind of confusing because Upper Manhattan for some people means something else. For us, that's anything above 59th Street. If you live on 59th Street and above in Manhattan or in the Bronx, you can just be caring for a loved one with any chronic illness, and we'll be there to support you.
Wow, that's really, really great. How exactly does PSS Circle of Care help family caregivers?
Well, specifically what we do is we offer them any supportive services that they need. We offer them educational training, whether that be on how to apply for Medicaid or whether it be on how to manage everyday stress. We do workshops and series with them. We also offer support groups, individual consultations with our social workers, and then we also do fun things. We take them to the museum, and the MoMA has a really great program where you can bring your dementia clients and family members, and they have a tour guide specifically for these targeted audiences. And then we also sometimes we do barbecues, and we go out and we'll go to the botanical gardens, and then we also have the respite portion, which for some people, it's amazing because they really need that break. They're stressed out beyond belief, and they don't have the money to pay for a home care agency or to bring a home attendant, and we'll pay for that. It's very limited and it's short term, but it's still something, especially those that they just are not eligible for anything. They see us and they think that we're miracle workers because we finally were able to give them that relief that they needed. And then besides that, anything that we can't provide them with ourselves, we work with other organizations that do. So we work with Meals on Wheels and anything else that we could possibly think of. If they are a hoarder and they need someone to clean their home, we work with an organization that does that as well for free.
Interesting. Very good. Learning a lot today on KTU Cares. Christina Madera is here. She's outreach coordinator for PSS Circle of Care. We're not only talking about the New York State paid family leave, but we're also learning a lot more about PSS Circle of Care, which if you could, Christina, again, give us any phone numbers as well as websites and social media, if you could.
Well, if you're interested in learning more about PSS Circle of Care, you can visit our website at pssusa.org. Or you can call our toll-free hotline at 866-665-1713.
Christina, tell me a little bit more about your kinship program.
Yeah, so we have another portion of the Circle of Care, and that is our kinship program. And it helps anybody caring for a child that is not biologically theirs. So, for example, grandparents raising grandchildren. And this started off actually in the 90s, when there were a lot of grandparents that were raising their grandchildren because their family member was either imprisoned or passed away or they were deported, whatever the case may be. And there was a rise of a lot of grandparents taking on this responsibility, and they were stressed out as well. So we created this kinship program, and we created the first grandparents raising grandchildren building. It's called the Grandparent Family Apartments in the Bronx, and it's the only one of its kind in the nation. So that's amazing. And what we do in that building is not only do they have affordable housing, on the ground level floor, there are supportive services for them. So we have the social workers that are there from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. And then we also have the computer room. We have a room for the kids to play games, and they also get tutoring services there. So it's basically everything you could ask for the grandparents so that they don't feel like they're doing it all on their own as well. And what we do see a lot of cases is that those grandparents, first, it starts off with them raising the grandchildren. And then as time progresses, the grandchildren end up caring for the grandparents. And that's when we would transfer them to our other circle of care department, which is helping for an aging loved one that may or may not have a frailty or a chronic illness. So it's like we cover all the bases when it comes to caring for someone else.
Learning a lot today on KTU Cares. We have made it to over halfway through the show, and I told you before we got started this morning, a half hour is a long time, but it's going to go by quick.
Yeah,
so,
it's flying by.
We are flying by this morning on KTU Cares, and it's great to have Christina in the studio with us. Christina Madera is the outreach coordinator for PSS Circle of Care, and you're so well spoken about what you do for a living, and obviously I got to tell you, it basically has got to be a passion. Where has your experience come from, both from a school standpoint as well as have you been anywhere before PSS Circle of Care with the same type of job title or what have you?
It's really funny because if you looked at my resume, you would see that I really don't know what exactly I want to do. My major was public relations, so I knew that I wanted to have some sort of major or some career where I was talking to people and meeting different kinds of people in media and in the community. That for sure I knew, but my experience is all over the place. Mm-hmm. My first internship was with Telemundo. I don't know if you're familiar with them.
Absolutely. Oh, yes. Uh-huh. Yeah.
And then I've also worked on a campaign for a local politician. I've worked with marketing organizations, and this is my first nonprofit. So it's been different. It has, but I love it. I love what I do. I love being out there with the community and helping the people in my neighborhoods and people just like me who, for some reason, they just don't feel like they can seek help. A lot of Latinos in New York City, you don't want to ask for help. And I don't know if that's a stigma or if that's something that we just were taught to do everything independently. Maybe it's also being scared to ask for services. Maybe you'll be deported. There's a lot of people that are not seeking the help that they should. So that's why I'm very passionate about it, because I want them to know that we're here for them and that they have nothing to be afraid of, because we don't care about that. We just want to help.
Agreed. And I'm glad we can have time on KTU Cares this morning with our vast audience to hear your voice and to be a voice for them of what you just talked about. I mean, that's so important. You're here spreading the word about this great New York State paid family leave that's brand new for 2018, and also talking about PSS Circle of Care. And they've got to be very proud to have somebody like you as their outreach coordinator talking to the press, talking to the people, being in the community. And like I said before, we are going to get back into the New York State paid family leave. And let's do that again, Christina, if you don't mind. Tell us exactly what it is again, because it's worth talking about over again, because it's so brand new. It's the brand new year, and we want people to take advantage of it.
So the New York State paid family leave is a law that was passed on the 1st of this year, and it's intended to help New York State residents caring for a newborn or for a close relative with a serious health condition, which includes Alzheimer's and other related dementias. There's a lot of benefits to this New York State paid family leave. And one of them is that you're eligible for the 8 weeks of paid leave at 50% of your average weekly wage, which for a lot of people is a lifesaver.
Go through that list of those close relatives, if you could, because that's important. There's several of them, but some are not included and some are.
Yeah, so for the New York State paid family leave law, a close relative includes either a spouse, a domestic partner, a child, a stepchild, a parent, a step-parent, parent-in-law, grandparent, or a grandchild. And that's it.
And the benefits, let's talk about those again, if you could.
So the benefits are that you will be eligible for 8 weeks of paid leave at 50% of your average weekly wage. The benefits are set to increase by the year 2021, where employees will be eligible for 12 weeks of paid leave at 67% of their average weekly wage.
Excellent. On KTU Cares this morning, Christina Madera is here, Outreach Coordinator for PSS Circle of Care. We are going to learn a little bit more also about PSS Circle of Care before we go this morning, but now we are spending time on the New York State paid family leave. But before we get to the next question about the paid family leave, if you could, phone number, website, and any social media ways to stay in touch with PSS Circle of Care.
Yes, so our toll-free hotline is 866-665-1713. And our website is pssusa.org.
And who is eligible, Christina, for the New York State paid family leave?
To be eligible for the New York State paid family leave, you must be either a full-time employee working over 20 hours or more per week and have been employed for over 6 months. If you are a part-time employee, then you must be working less than 20 hours a week and have been working for about 6 months as well, but it just doesn't have to be consecutive.
And talk a little bit about if these employees are not U.S. citizens. Are they eligible?
Yes, you are eligible regardless of immigration status, similarly with PSS Circle of Care.
And who pays for the paid family leave?
Well, the paid family leave is funded through the employees through payroll contributions. And the annual maximum is capped at about $86. And some people will be paying less than that if they make less than the average weekly wage of New York State. So there's a way to find out. If you're interested in finding out exactly what you'll be paying, you can go to ny.gov/paid family leave, and you can click on their link to their weekly deduction calculator.
I guess it's important also, too, if people do have the questions about the family leave, it's ny.gov/paid family leave, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Now, how does PSS Circle of Care fit in with this new paid family leave law?
PSS Circle of Care is a caregiver support program. And what we do is we help the caregivers that are caring for a loved one with some sort of chronic illness, frailty, or Alzheimer's or dementia. So that ties in with the paid family leave because although it does help those caring for a newborn, it also helps those caring for someone with some sort of illness, especially Alzheimer's or dementia. So there's some double dipping there. And what we do is we want to provide that emotional and financial support to them. The financial support is very important, but I do believe the emotional support is just as important because a lot of caregivers, they're stressed, they're tired, they're burnt out, and they are doing it by themselves. There's a lot of cases that I've seen in PSS myself working here, and there's 10 or so siblings, and none of them are involved in the care. One of them, one sibling, one daughter, one son is having to hold that burden, and I hate to use that word, but they have to shoulder it all themselves, and they just want to crack. When they come to you, it's like crisis mode, and you're there for them. You listen, and if you can do a family consultation and bring all the siblings in, we do that. So we just try to help in whatever way we can. The New York State Family Leave is helping too. It helps because you need that financial. You need that financial security, and you need that job security. Knowing that your job is going to be there waiting for you after you take your leave, that's very important. At the same time, you do need that emotional support. You need to know that you can talk to somebody.
Great show this morning. KTU Cares with Christina Madera here in the KTU studios, Outreach Coordinator for PSS Circle of Care. And again, the hotline number, is that what you call it? The outreach or the hotline number? Yeah, the hotline number, if you have that number and website, if you could.
It's 866-665-1713. And our website is pssusa.org.
5 more minutes left to go in the show this morning on KTU Cares. Now let's spend the rest of the show a little bit more on PSS Circle of Care and tell us who is eligible.
To be eligible for PSS Circle of Care, you only have to have we only have 2 requirements. One person has to be living in New York City, and one person has to have some sort of memory impairment, and that's it. We don't ask any financials. We don't ask immigration status. All we need to know is that you are caring for a loved one that may or may not have some form of dementia. And we know that not only is it stressful, but it could be depressing to have your spouse start to forget about you, or your mom start to have these fuzzy, hazy memories and not quite sure if she's in the right place. We know that stress, that emotional stress can be heartbreaking, and we want to be there for those caregivers.
Christina, how exactly does PSS Circle of Care help those family caregivers?
Well, we provide an array of services that are free of charge. We provide educational training, temporary respite, and the respite that we provide is either in the form of a home attendant in your home for free for a limited amount of time, or we can take your family member and send them to an adult day center, which is really popular now. It's growing in popularity. And we also offer support groups. We offer individual and family consultations. And we also offer joint enrichment opportunities where we will take the loved one and the family members that are taking care of that loved one to a museum or to the botanical gardens just to get them out of the house. Because we know sometimes you're stuck. Every time you're with that loved one, you see the same four walls and you're going to go crazy. So we want to avoid that. We take them out. And then we also, I forgot to mention this earlier, we can also pay for supplementals. If you have a family member that wanders, we'll pay for a safety wandering bracelet or an alarm for the home. We'll also pay for a bed in some cases. We've also paid for air conditioning. So if we see a need and we can provide for that person, we do. So it's anything that you can think of. If you have a need and we can afford that, then we usually help in those supplemental cases as well.
Now, you mentioned that you're nonprofit, and we have a lot of listeners on KTU land. Is there any need for any volunteering or anybody to help, or even if somebody's listening that might own a place that might be a really cool spot to go to for either a day trip or an afternoon trip or an evening? You mentioned botanical gardens, you mentioned museums. Mm-hmm. If anybody's listening, would they just get a hold of you the same exact way, the numbers that you've been giving and the website you've been giving? And do you need help from listeners, if you will?
Yeah, I mean, why not? We love volunteers, and volunteers are what keep, I didn't mention this before, but we have 9 senior centers throughout New York City, and those are run primarily through volunteers. So if there's anyone listening right now and they are interested in volunteering for PSS, definitely call our toll-free hotline at 866-665-1713. We also have always looking for opportunities to partner with other organizations, whether that be for a care station, or what we call a care station is a space that an organization will donate and we'll be there in the community. Because we have office spaces, but we like to be everywhere. We like to be flexible so that the caregiver doesn't have to travel so far to get to us, because we know that they won't. So we like to be as close to them as possible. So if you have an office space in your office and you want to lend it to us, then please call us, because we're always looking to open new care stations throughout New York City. And if you want to donate anything, food, water, sometimes we do sip and paints. We've had an organization donated wine, which was pretty cool.
Very nice. Great. Excellent. So, yeah, like you heard Christina say, if you're listening to KTU Cares this morning, you'd love to help out PSS Circle of Care, just get a hold of them again at the number and the website, if you don't mind, Christina.
Yeah, the number is 866-665-1713, and the website is careinfo@pssusa.org.
Great show this morning. I've learned a lot. I know our KTU listeners have learned a lot. Christina Madera from PSS Circle of Care. She is the outreach coordinator there. If you could help out in any way, and if we gave you any information today to help you out, then our goal has been accomplished, and I appreciate you coming in this morning, Christina.
Thank you so much, Bartel.